welcome to this English News Edition. Here we have the top stories concerning the new railway line Djibouti-Addis Ababa departure of the first merchandise train from Djibouti. Thanks for joining us. The Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training has organized yesterday a working session on return to Musha Island. The objective was to make the plan on work advancement and the reform of technical education and vocational training. This working meeting, headed by the Secretary General of the MINFOP, Mr. Haroun Umar Aden, has seen the participation of the senior executive of the MINFOP and the official of EFTP. It had for objective to make the plan on the statute of the reform of the vocational education, which is in the full swing. The responsible have briefed the participant and the work carried out and those in progress, but also the purpose of this reform of the technical education and vocational training. The discussion and explanation have resulted from this meeting, and they help develop the different departments of the ministry in the same informal proposal on this reform of technical and vocational education. The rest of the day was devoted to the relaxation. The department has invited more than 200 of its staff members in this output to enable those that to know and share in order to create cohesion and strengthen the team spirit at MINFOP. The many of football games, swimming, walking, which were enjoyed on more than one a different way to combine the pleasant with the useful that the Ministry of National Education intend to renew if possible. It was on top stories on the sidelines of the 9th meeting of the Joint Commission, followed by the construction project of the new railway line Djibouti-Addis Ababa. The first train of goods left this afternoon the main train station of Djibouti located at Negad. Both ministers attended to the transport train loaded activities, which began yesterday earlier in the evening. The train loaded with 1,100 tons of wheat left this afternoon Negad station, along with the General Director of Railway of both countries, namely Mr. Mahmoud Roble Dabbar and Dr. Getachew Betru, and the manager of the CCECC company, Mr. Ding Ziachun, responsible for the construction of the new railway line, as well as different officials of both sides. This first train was composed of 30 wagons with a total tonnage of 1,100 tons, and the maximum capacity of this train is 3,500 tons. The objective of the launch of its railway transportation operation is justified by humanitarian emergency in some regions of Ethiopia, and the major objective is to deliver cargo to relief for 8 million people affected by the climate change phenomenon. Let's bear in mind this transport operation will continue for a period of 4 weeks.
Mais voilà, on est devant
In an interview, the director of Djibouti Railway said that yesterday it was the 90th joint meeting, which is a periodic meeting of consultation between the two countries as well as the technical committee. This 90th commission had to agenda the consideration of several issues. The monitoring committee today, in an interesting phase, has been reached more than a 19% work of and the two government welcome it. It is a question of the system of management future of this line which will intervene in the next month, and therefore the two governments have decided to entrust the management to a private for several years to be able to acquire the transfer of jurisdiction for our place, and by the result of having the entire capacity to manage this line. Then he added there was also the question of the border watch post, which is under construction and which is a part of factor of competitiveness of these new lines. Since today the train will not stop in all the whole station. It will stop in about 20 posts, which will have a single workstation command control to be able to save time at the level of transit to the border. Environment now. The regional organization for the protection of the environment of the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden has closed a training workshop of 2 days at the People's Palace today. The ceremony was chaired by the General Secretary of the Ministry of the Environment, Dini Abdullah, in collaboration with the representative of the regional organization of the Gulf of Aden. This workshop has brought together all the organization concerned, such as the police, port, housing, and environment officials. The objective is holding such training training is to raise awareness on the population and the protection of the environment concerning the use of chemical products that must be carried out in a preventive manner. Furthermore, it could adversely affect the air, water, and the environment in which we live. The General Secretary of the Housing Ministry, Urban Development and Environment, Mr. Dini Abdullah Umar, has shared yesterday the closing ceremony of the National Workshop of Environmental Awareness intended to the ulama. Let not the presence of the Secretary General of the Ministry of Waqf, the representative of the Regional Organization for the Conservation of the Environment and for the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden, known as PRESGA, the technical advisor of the Ministry of Housing, Urban and Development and Environment, Mr. Aden Hassan Ilmi, and the whole of the Imam, as well as the representative of the Islamic school in Djibouti. The Djibouti environment is a national heritage and integral part of world heritage. Its preservation of this fact and avoiding an interest in the local, national, regional, and international level to ensure that the need of current and future generation, the preservation and protection of our environmental resources pass necessarily by the awareness of key players such as the ulama. During the 2 days of workshop, the ulama were able to see that Islam is at the type of the environment protection and have subsequently taken the decision to act on the basis of the value imparted by the Holy Quran in order to actively contribute to the preservation of this environment, fast to the environment, to the resource and condition of life as much. Islam adopts an attitude based on the protection and prohibition of the degradation as much as it also advocates the building, the establishment and development. At the end of the workshop, it was agreed the fundamental role that the ulama and imam have to play in the protection of the environment and sustainable development within the society. In a word spoken of this occasion, the Secretary General of the Ministry of the Environment, Dini Abdullah Umar, who shared this workshop, has urged everyone to devote themselves fully to all the stage of this workshop and to derive the maximum benefit from the experience of the various presenters. Let's move now to Finland, where a ceremony to support President Ismail Omar Guelleh for a fourth mandate took place this week in the Finland capital, Helsinki. This huge mobilization to support President Guelleh has been well organized by the Finland Jewish diaspora. The ceremony comes just weeks after the organized civil society of the Republic of Djibouti, the collective of the Djiboutian diaspora living in the Scandinavian countries of Northern Europe, is a very active organization that lives in the lives of those living in Djibouti Nordic countries. Let's not forget that the support of the president ceremony has been held in a large hotel in Helsinki, capital of Finland, and has brought together members of the Djiboutian diaspora come from regions of Finland. During this major advocacy, participants housed high the Djibouti flag and banners were erected on the occasion, in which we can read support for the president IOJ.
waana soo dhawaynaynaa waana taageersanahay hajira hajoogo
hambalyo waxaan rajaynaynaa dadweynaheena inuu mar labaad nagu soo noqdo maslaxa nagu soo noqdo cilmi dheer caafimaad wadankayga Djibouti waxaan u rajaynayaa horumar dhammaan waxaan isla ka fadhiisanayaa dadka reer Djibouti meel walba joogaan hambalyo noolaada
maanta beesha waxaan isugu imanay wax kala maahin sidaan u taageeri lahayn madaxweynaha Ismail Omar Guelleh ilaahay iska daayo cimrigiisa cilmi dheer ilaahay siiyo wadanka horumar badan buu gaarsiiyay dhaqaalihii 99 maalintuu koray ilaa maanta isbedel badan baa jira wax badan baa dhaafay ilaa maanta waxaan rajaynaynaa insha Allah inuu doorashada 2016 bisha Afraad soo sharaxo inta waxa weeyaan wax badan baa isbedelay dekada badan baa wadanka ka dhismay isboortigii baa batay dadkii baa batay sidii hore wadanku ma ahayn dhaqaalihiisu wuu kobcay ilaa 900 milyan buu joogaa waxaa leeyahay Ismail Omar Guelleh ha jiro ha joogo.
During this mobilization, many officials, including the president of the Djiboutian diaspora in these Nordic countries, have succeeded to a microphone and launch an appeal to President Guelleh by requesting him to take again the reins of the country for his run to the next presidential election in 2016. Let's take a listen.
waxaan leeyahay dhammaantiin aad iyo aad baad u mahadsantihiin walaalayaal mahadnaq kadib waxaa ii xiga waxaa rabay inaa xoogaha xafladan maanta qiimaha iyo qaayaha leh sababtaas ugu imanaa waxaa weeye si walaalkiin afka ugu dhuftay waa taageero aan taageerino madaxweynaha Jabuuti mudane Ismaaciil Cumar Geelle run ahaantii madaxweynaha sababo badan baadna reer Jabuuti nahay aan ku dooranay inuu talada waddanka noo sii hayo si uu tartanka doorashada 2016 bilowgeega uga soo qayb galo run ahaantii waa madaxweyne walaahi runtii aad iyo aad qiimo noole macamicnihii meel aan joognay iyo meel uu hadda ma taqaana nageeyay ismale markuu ilaahay talada isaga u dhiibay madaxweynaha Ismaaciil Cumar Geelle ilaahay waxaan uga baryayaa inuu cimri dheer siiyo isaga zawjadiisa Khadar Maxamuud Xayd Soomaalidu waxay ku maamahdaa waxay tiraa Soomaalidu indhaha macalina Ismaaciil Cumar Geelle wuxuu qabtay wala arkayaa xitaa walaalaheena Soomaaliyeed ba dibad iyo gudaba aan hadda Jabuutinahay aad baan u faraxsanahay marka walaalayaal anoo halkan salaan aad iyo aad u qiimo badan madaxweynaha dalka ugu diraya iyo marwadiisa Khadar Maxamuud Xayd salaan aad iyo aad u qiimo badan oo sharaf leh iyo dhammaan ummadda reer Jabuuti iyo xukuumadda Jabuuti iyo saraakiisha dhammaantood halkan salaam aad iyo aad u diiran baan uga soo direynaa walaalayaal qurba joogta reer Jabuuti haddaan nahay waxaan jeclaanay oo rabnaa runtii Ismaaciil ha naga tagin balena ha naga tagin sababtaan leenahay waxa weeye walaalayaal uma aragno qof maanta halkuu joogo qof joogsan karo uma aragno ilaahay reer Jabuuti nasiib buu siiyay markuu Ismaaciil u doortay wana alxamdulillah nimcatu rabbi weey
Still in the national news, after his visit to the north of the country, the new ambassador of Japan, Mr. Tatsuo Abe, has visited yesterday morning the region of Ali Sabih. Upon his arrival at the place, the Japanese diplomat, accompanied by the executive secretary of the UNARS, Mr. Hussein Hassan, and the representative of the UNHCR in Djibouti, was greeted warmly by the prefect of the region, Mr. Mohamed Wabri Assoubi. For this occasion, the prefect of the region has wished welcome to the new ambassador of Japan, Mr. Tatsuo Abe, as well his delegation. He didn't fail to welcome the excellent Ethiopia-Djibouti partnership intended to the development of the region and the country. After the courtesy visit to the prefect of the region of Ali Sabih, the delegation then took the direction of the camp of Ali Adde, where they have been welcomed by the sub-prefect Shaban Daher Musa and the population of the refugee camp of Ali Adde. Let's notice that the camp of Ali Adde is the largest refugees camp of the country. It hosts some 90,000 refugees and asylum seekers, both 19% are Somali. After a long discussion with the refugees community living in the camp of Ali Adde, the embassy of Japan, Mr. Tatsuo Abe, accompanied by the executive secretary of the UNARS and the representative of the UNHCR in Djibouti, have carried out a visit to the different centers of the camp of Ali Adde. Was called the new housing site of 450 housing, which is in the courtyard for the most vulnerable household, including the widow and the children who have no home, and the health center has been visited by the delegation. Sport news now. After Al Sabih, the Djiboutian Federation of Kung Fu Wushu has moved toward the region of Tajura for deeper learning of the discipline alongside of the young followers of Kung Fu Wushu in Tajura regions. Led by the president of the Federation of Djibouti, of the Djiboutian Kung Fu Wushu, Mohamed Ali Umar, the disciples of Kung Fu Wushu of the capital was 20 and are allied to the side of their partners of Tajura, who themselves were about 30. A master training sessions and demonstrations took place in Tajura Sports Complex with a massive inflow of several young from the White City. This tour was organized to help and mentor young Djiboutians so they do not fall into drugs or juvenile delinquency. In an interview granted to our correspondent in Tajura, the president of the federation has thanked the Secretary of State for Youth and Sport, Badoul Hassan Badoul, who helps support and encourage young people and in general the practice of sport. He did not miss to thank the young followers of the Kukfu Wushu of Tajura for their warm hospitality that has been reserved to him, as well as to the young followers of the capital. Finally, let's notice that the tour will continue and the delegation of Kukfu Wushu will be next Thursday at Dikhl region. Still on sport, a friendly match has opposed this afternoon a young team of Tajura of the association Tagari Ela in the U.S. military training installed in Tajura. This game was played to pay tribute and celebrate the departure of the commander of the force U.S. installed in Tajura, Alton also, who was being called to other function. The match is balanced on a score of 2 goals to 1 in favor of the team from the United States of America. The several senior officials of the White City as of the prefecture and the regional council, the traditional chief and association of young people, as well as a public coming herd attending this match. Let's notice that the match of the return will be held in the capital, the Camp Lemonnier.
So I think this is a good chance for the people of Tajura and the U.S. Army Civil Affairs team here to meet with each other and have fun, and helps bring us closer together as a community here. And I think that has been beneficial to us, to our team here, and also to the young people here in Tajura.
Always in the continuity of the competition of the Games of the National Youth, yesterday evening, the Wahdaba Community Development Center has housed a competition of traditional dances counting for the second phase, commonly called phase inter-district. The young people from the different neighborhoods of the commune of Balbala have competed under the supervision of the organization committee of the National Youth Games. Various traditional dances represented by the young participants. The young people have granted us an interview in which they thanked the Secretary of State for Youth and Sport for having included the traditional competition to these first National Games of the Youth, which is proving to be a tremendous lever for promoting our culture for our young people. Moving on to the continental and international level, Malian security forces have raided the Radisson Blu Hotel in the capital, Bamako, 3 days after armed gunmen stormed the hotel, taking several hostages and killing 3 people. Local officials have reported automatic weapon fire broke out in Bamako at around 7 a.m. local time when gunmen stormed the luxury 190-room hotel, taking several hotel guests and staff hostage, according to the Malian security official. Let's listen with more detail.
At least 3 hostages have been killed in an ongoing siege at a luxury hotel in Bamako. Mali's government sources have confirmed 10 attackers have taken 170 people hostage at the Radisson, including 140 guests and 30 members of staff, the hotel said in a statement. 10 hostages has been seen leaving the hotel, according to Euronews correspondent in Mali. Among those released were those able to recite verse of the Quran. French and Chinese nationals and half a dozen staff from Turkish airline are among the hostage. Gunfire has been heard from the inside the building, and attackers are said to be going through the hotel floor by floor and room by room. 2 private security guards are among the injured. Security source told attackers arrived at the hotel in a car with diplomatic plate, firing and shouting Allahu Akbar in Arabic. Police have sealed off the area around the 190-room hotel, said to be popular with foreign visitors.
On the international scene now, Aziz published photo of a purported Russian jet bomb. An image of alleged parts of a bomb used to take down a Russian passenger plane over Egypt Sinai, killing all 224 people on board, was posted by Islamic State magazine. Sayyid Mohammed has more.
a new issue of ISIS online magazine. The bill contained what it claims is a picture of the bomb that brought down a Russian passenger jet over Egypt's Sinai Peninsula last month. The photograph shows a soft drink can and two components that appear to be a detonator and a switch explosive. There is a hole in the bottom of the can, which reveals a white substance inside that could be explosive. The detonator would be placed through the hole, he said. The three components appear to constitute a suicide-type bomb because the bomb would have to flip the single-throw rocker switch to detonate the bomb. May acknowledged the apparent simplicity and utility of the bomb. It doesn't take that much to bring down a plane in flight if it's placed in the most critical area of the aircraft, breaking the fuselage, said a retiring explosive enforcement officer of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearm and Explosive. Because the can is made of metal, any typical security protocol should detect this via the metal detector or via the X-ray. However, it's not unlikely or impossible to separate these components, and an individual carrying a separated component through the security and then assemble the device on the other side. The downing of the Russian airliner was done in retaliation for Russian airstrike in Syria. In fact, ISIS had initially planned to bring down a plane belonging to a country in the US-led coalition fighting ISIS. The terror group said in the magazine that Russia Metrojet flights 9268 crashed on October 31 after departing from the Egypt resort of Sharm el-Sheikh from the Russian city, killing all 224 passengers on board.
And now the United States Islamic State military released a video on Tuesday tweeting the White House with suicide bombing and car blast, envoying to conduct more attack on France. The 6-minute video released by Islamic fighter in Iraq applauds last week a Paris attack, according to a translation of the Arabic provided by the Maryland-based site intelligence group. The latest tweet come on day after the militant group put out a video showing scene of New York City, which suggests it was also a target. Islamic State, which control a large territory in Syria and Iraq, has claimed responsibility for last 3 days attack in Paris, in which 198 people were killed. FBI Director James Comey said on Tuesday he was not aware of any credible threat of a Paris-type attack. In the United States, the State Department spokesman John Kirby told CNN that Tuesday's video has been examined to determine its veracity. Everybody here in the United States government are taking this threat seriously, he said. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the video. The video opened with a television news clip of the Paris attack and then showed two militants separately speaking to the camera. Titled Paris Before Rome, the video showed an Islamic State fighter threatening to pound French monument envoying to strike at the White House. We will blow it up, the same as we will blow up the idol on this good land, one fighter said, referring to the White House. The second fighter threatened U.S. President Barack Obama and French President François Hollande. We will grind them with explosive bullets and car bomb. And to finalize this edition, it looks like Earth is already halfway to the danger zone. Less than 2 weeks before a crucial global climate summit in Paris kicks off, NOAA, NASA and other global temperature monitors release data showing that the planet is halfway to 2 degrees of warming, the much publicized limit of controllable climate change. Let's listen it.
It is a sobering statistic ahead of crucial climate talks in Paris. The world has seen its hottest October on record, says NASA, and with 2015 said to be the warmest year ever recorded. With all the effect that entails, experts are warning that man-made climate change must be tackled before it is too late. We have a lot of evidence that the climate is changing, said French scientists. The temperatures are rising, the ice caps are melting, The oceans are getting warmer, sea level is rising, and these observations are absolutely unequivocal. The future really is going to depend on what we humans decide to do in the year ahead. And I think that the Paris climate meeting, the COP21, is going to be a crucial event. A global deal to limit rising greenhouse gas emissions is being sought at the talk, set to begin on November 30, attended by more than 100 world leaders. But the power of gas and oil giants make Greenpeace in Russia pessimistic. The main problem lies in the inertia and lobbyism that we see in the traditional energy industry, said Vladimir Shuprov, head of the Greenpeace Russia energy program. Of course, they don't want to share out the finance. They want to maintain the status quo. And of course, neither renewable energy nor energy saving technologies have any chance in the near future. But without an effective agreement, the fear is that
So this was the English news. Thank you for your attention, and more headlines coming up tomorrow at same time and same channel.